afternoon to you all. DRBMiller here, and this is our daily news bulletin for today, which is Wednesday of 6th of January 2021. Welcome to our channel, welcome to our news. Thank you for joining us as every day, and I'm very grateful to all of your messages and questions and support that I've received really during the last couple of days. Really absolutely wonderful to see that people are watching our broadcast and podcast on playback, and that we are getting quite a few thoughts and views on how this channel is going to be run for the foreseeable future. So I'm very grateful to all who have taken time to present us with your thoughts and ideas, and most grateful to those who are asking questions about Twitch streams and how to really build one's own community and a channel on this wonderful online hub that's providing us with a wonderful opportunity to connect with other people from around the world. And I will start today in the same way as we have done during the last few sessions. We'll be looking at the messages coming in from our viewers. So first of all, I'm very grateful for the messages that came in respect of our DRB introducing sessions yesterday and on Monday. And as in on Monday, I was streaming Echo Generation. This was a demo for a brand new game that will be coming out at some point this year, and it will be released on PC and Xbox. So really very good to see that people were watching it on playback, because really the idea behind the introducing being slotted in is primarily to do what we believe needs to be done, and like a good deed, and that is basically my own personal intention to give both credibility and exposure to small indie studios, people who are working very hard on wonderful, quirky, little unknown games, and receiving very little publicity, very little presence on major online video gaming hubs, because really the attention, a bit like in music and film industries, goes primarily towards AAA blockbusters, and I feel that this is really not doing a great deal of justice. I mean, let's face the facts, the greatest investments go into those blockbusters. Obviously they do want the revenue to be brought back one way or another, really through the early release box office records, the accumulation of everything else that comes together with release, like data, the number of people watching, paying for tickets, etc. But at the same time, all the hard work which takes place behind the closed doors in smaller studios is therefore left under or even unrecognized, and I think that really is not particularly good. In order for our industries to be very vibrant, energetic and innovative, we need to be supporting those newer people who are indeed going to be then entering the AAA blockbuster industry at a later date. So it's all about evolution. You've seen that a couple of years ago we've had the launch of Apex Legends, and the game was released without any previous announcements. Nobody knew anything about it, and it was basically generating major publicity entirely through online streams, and that was a novel concept. It was an interesting experiment, and I certainly was delighted to see that the game did take off in a major fashion during that particular week. And quite frankly, all the other hot games of that week, such as Fortnite and PUBG and Call of Duty, they were all being literally left behind, with everybody jumping on the Apex bandwagon. The reason for that was very simple. It was a trend that got created overnight by all the streamers and people talking about the game. Obviously everyone likes surprises, and if surprise is a pleasant one, then we all want to be taking part. So that's exactly what indeed unraveled. We've had first of all lots of streamers on Twitch and YouTube talking about Apex being like an unknown quantity and a tremendous gift coming our way from Respawn and Electronic Arts for free. Of course, it was a battle royale, which was easily defined as one of the major trendsetters of that period, and everybody wanted to find out more. So that is the way to do it. And within Microsoft community, we have a group called Xbox Ambassadors, and I'm one of the members. And basically what we do is we first of all promote ethical gaming, and secondly we want to really connect with people worldwide who are wanting to do a bit of archaeological research on all the titles that are presently available out there. You will know that we have very many games now released every single week, and in addition to that we have those wonderful streaming services on Xbox, Game Pass, and PlayStation Now services, the services that are giving us instant access to so many different games, both through downloads and instant streaming. So, it is really quite difficult to decide on what games to play at what time, particularly because if we are, let's say, a fan of some RPG games, or if we really want to be doing FPS, there are so many new titles coming in at all times. And I've got to say, for myself, being able to select and take my own picks has been rather difficult. On the other hand, during the last couple of years, since I've been using those streaming services extensively, I was able to access, try and play more games than at any other time in my gaming history. So it is really providing us with pros and cons, and if we are to reflect on the experience, I think it is very closely connected to the times we live in, and we all want to be getting instant access to certain quality and quantity of services and goods, and therefore what we're experiencing is indeed a very accelerated means to which we are getting the information via those hubs. I mean, really considering that previously you had to pay for the games that were really very expensive, and also the overall ability of the publishers to deliver certain quantities was restricted by the production costs and the numbers of the copies that were able to produce. So all of that indeed was causing some delays, and you will remember the queues literally being seen outside the shops before a particular blockbuster game was released. So you have 3-mile long queues, people waiting for the brand new Call of Duty installment to be released, wanting to get the first copy. So that's all gone into the oblivion. That's long gone. What we do have today is indeed instant access to gaming, and the services like the ones I described on Game Pass and PS Now are giving us that ability to try out things on a subscription price, which is obviously our monthly fee, and therefore we can access, with two services combined, probably more than 1,000 games at once. So if you are looking at the overall experience of any individual game, it will very much be defined by how much time you are going to be spending on that particular title, and whether you are combining it with a number of other ones available through the services. I watched and listened to a regular podcast that we have on YouTube, and one of my favorites is the Larry Hryb, Major Nelson podcast. That is obviously aligned to Xbox, but he has really absolutely wonderful participants, and they usually talk about lots of interesting things which are not necessarily Xbox related. And it's interesting that his colleague Jeff Rubinstein also is always a frequent participant, and he did say that really what he enjoyed the best was playing several games at once, but he said also it's very important not to make that mistake that you enter like 3 or 4 open world games at once, because you will get lost within the content and you will lose thread. So if you're planning and thinking on what games to play, I mean just take up this one open world game, and then like one FPS game, and then one battle royale, and one puzzler. So basically one game per genre, so you're not really going to be having major difficulties with your own mindset when you're entering that wonderful fantasy world out there online. So coming back to it, the experience of those games can indeed be affected by how much time we are spending on a particular title, and also the excitement, like in the past, if you were waiting for the next installment of Star Wars to come out, or anything else which was hotly anticipated, well, that doesn't last for too long. And I have to say, there is the pros and cons of these fast releases, like for instance what we've seen during the last few weeks with Cyberpunk, a major hype built over many months and years, and then when you had a significant technical problem arising during its release, then you had everybody turning against the game, and that's just completely wrong. A major new multiplayer in an open world, which does require stand corrected. It's a single-player game at the moment, a major open-world game coming out of the developer that's so well known for the Witcher trilogy, and obviously, we were to be expecting some difficulties, some technical issues, which has to be embraced as literally part of that collateral when you have new games released today. We've seen that with so many different titles, and it isn't always to do with the games being not finished. It can also be with the sheer quantity of people who are accessing the content online at the same time, and therefore creating problems with bandwidth, with access to the servers, and many other technical issues. I'm not really a tech wizard to be able to tell you exactly what the issues are, but I've obviously got to know after reading many reports what seemed to be causing the major difficulty. And Electronic Arts in particular, they did say that they are suffering from both lack of storage space for the information, as well as the servers being not big enough technically, meaning that they will need to have a lot better, greater bandwidth in order for people to access information at the same time. And so these are the issues that are plaguing those releases. But primarily what I'm trying to say is, if you are being hyped up about a title like that, then obviously you will be very disappointed. But the whole period of major hype is being built over a long period of time, and then the hype just lasts a couple of days, and Cyberpunk is already yesterday's news 2-3 weeks later, which therefore also affects the way we are experiencing both the titles and the overall selection of products that some of the publishers are giving us. And it means that we are quickly switching from one title to another. We're exploring those different worlds, we're looking at the games with massive content, and I think overall the future of our personal experience will be, first of all, within the quality of it all. We need to have then very, very immersive environment delivered on very high quality platforms, and that will include high quality television sets, very big screens, high quality sound, and yes, we can really deeply become part of that world. And if you're switching from, let's say, Resident Evil to No Man's Sky or Destiny or Warzone, we want to be instantly able to soak up the atmosphere and the world that we are just about to enter, and literally from the word go. And we've heard also from the Xbox development team that they have this wonderful new tool which says resume, and it is first of all cutting down on the loading time for any game that you have in your console. And then secondly, if you want to be jumping from one game to another, you can just go to resume, and it's instant. There's no waiting periods, and you will be familiar with some of the games presently available online on the older generation consoles, particularly with the multiplayers. There are lengthy periods to which you need to be waiting for the game to load, and on a new console, particularly for some of the games, not for all, that has been reduced completely. And like one of the guys said yesterday in a podcast I listened to on Major Nelson's channel, he said, well, the lengthy waiting periods for those new games are basically something out of the past. It's just not going to be happening, but you will need to have the new version of the game as well as the latest console. Coming back to the experience of those games, I think for myself, I presently feel slightly overwhelmed by the sheer quantity of titles, information that I'm getting in respect of the new releases as well as the news overall. So it's like a lot of information coming in at all times, and that's coupled with a lot of info coming from my community members as well. So I'm literally snowed under with messages and tweets and all sorts that keep coming every single day, and it's quite hard to get through it all. So I can see what the difficulties are purely from the logistical point of view, and also if I am, for instance, doing 3 streams within like one day, and the streams are dedicated to separate areas of interest. Like I have now this section for daily news, then I have another one looking at the new titles, or whatever I'm introducing here through DRBMiller introducing, and after that we have the major online gameplay. At the moment this is to do with Destiny and Warzone. So I have to be quite flexible. I need to be able to quickly shift from one activity to another, and in addition to that, it's very important for me to be also as responsive as possible towards messages, comments and views that keep coming in. And I think if we are looking at Battle Royale, notably Warzone, then it is a bit more difficult to retain that degree of interactivity within the actual gaming session, because we are in a squad, we are having one particular task ahead, which is to win the game or to survive as long as possible, and therefore the messages and things that keep coming in will be responded to as we obviously finish with the match. And just in response to the questions which we had from our friends, I was very pleased to see that the new concept had been indeed embraced, and some people really liked watching these separate sections through our regular playback on Twitch and YouTube. So thank you for sending us the messages of support. I had a message from Jonathan, and he is from New York. He said, I quite liked the new idea of introducing indie titles, and I've heard you talk previously about Nightcall, and I was very grateful to see that you've had a good run on Nightfall yesterday. And will you carry on with the same idea? Will you carry on with this particular game is the question. So thank you, Jonathan, for responding and for sending us your request. First of all, I'm very grateful for the time you've taken to write messages and basically connect with us here with my community on the channel. And secondly, I'd like to say absolutely, I'm delighted to see that you are equally in awe of this wonderful French indie game. And I was amazed when I played it for the first time with the quantity of information that we managed to get about Paris and France of today through a game that looks very much like a graphic novel, but really absolutely beautiful, mysterious, gripping story, film noir type of environment for anybody who likes that sort of milieu. And that indeed has been one of the biggest surprises of last year for me, and thanks to Microsoft and obviously the Game Pass, that made it possible for me. So it's not just that I want to be advertising the streaming services. I'm absolutely unbiased, and I use all platforms, and I have got no particular affiliation with any of them in terms of my own personal preferences. I just keep thinking of what appears to be the very best experience for me, and therefore I want to share that with our friends and community members. And quite evidently, if you look at what we can do if we discover something as great and as wonderful as this game is, then we can immediately just jump in and play the game, embrace it, and enjoy the experience. So I think that's the greatest benefit compared to the old days where you had to wait for something to be brought to you, etc., etc. So it's a no-brainer, really. I think presently everyone can get Ultimate subscription for $1 on the price of $1 for 3 months, and it's like a special promotional scheme which is still being run during the Christmas period. So therefore you should really take this opportunity to try it for 3 months and decide for yourself whether you are quite keen, whether you want to carry on. But I can assure you, once you've tried it, you're never going to look back. So coming back to the question, yes, we are going to be continuing with Nightcall. I will try to play the game as much as possible. It's a fairly lengthy game with lots of subplots, and you will see the investigation is quite complex. You talk to different characters that provide you different clues, and then you've got to be unraveling the narrative of the investigation, which is quite complex, and that indeed will carry on my channel. We'll have to see whether we'll do it like in one go, meaning just at once, or whether we'll do it in sections, because I also want to be introducing many of the titles that are presently available through Game Pass and PlayStation Now services, and these are much smaller, quirkier titles than Nightcall, which in fact is kind of topping the list of my favorites. And right, so the other question was in response to our discussions about online streams and community, and so the question was coming from Sunny, and I think she is in the US, so thank you for, I'm just double checking on the listing here, they are from Wisconsin. Sunny from Wisconsin, thank you for indeed connecting with us and sending us your messages. The question was, how long does it take for somebody to build their own online community? I've seen and heard that people can generate very many followers within a particularly short period of time if they are presenting one of the most popular games. Is this true? Well, I think you probably missed out on some of the discussions we had a couple of days ago, and I was just literally indicating to everyone that very fast runs on the membership are rather rare, and the reason for that is very simple. There are many content creators and people who are attempting to do broadcasting live online today. It's one of the most popular home-based activities at the present, particularly due to the pandemic, and you will have a very stiff competition, basically from many people of all sorts, be it from the newbies who are trying out their skills with mics and streams for the first time, to people who are already well versed in broadcasting, and there are going to be some professionals as well. So it's a very wide pool of resources. What is important is, first of all, to approach the channel with professionalism, with seriousness, and with a plan. You basically create a plan on how you're going to be running a business, what you're going to be doing, and how you want to be doing it. And you need to do this prior to any form of activity online. So pen and paper, notepad, write down the points how you want to be doing it. The most important thing, two most important things are, first of all, you need to very carefully select what game you will be streaming, because the game will be attracting a certain number of participants. And my personal preference, or the tip I wish to provide to everyone, is basically don't go for Warzone, don't go for the hottest new game like Cyberpunk, because obviously everybody is going to be interested, but you will have hundreds of thousands of people doing those streams at the same time, providing similar sort of content on the surface, of course, and you will not be able to generate many followers unless you are investing, and by that I mean quite a few thousands of pounds, into a major promotional scheme through all kinds of online hubs in there that are going to be doing multi-level marketing for you, and it's a non-starter for anybody who is starting out, right? So the way to do it is, you think about a franchise like Destiny, like Assassin's Creed, for instance. You think of the games that were really very popular a little while back. Think of, for instance, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim and Oblivion. And if you were to look up on Twitch at any moment in time, you'll see that there are probably several dozen or maybe a couple of hundred people watching those channels. The reason for that is, first of all, these games are not played as much nowadays compared to the past. But secondly, what's very important is you will get on these channels a regular stream of veterans in the course of every single day. So you'll have people coming in, having a look and having a chat, basically, sometimes for 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. And those people will be trickling along literally throughout the whole day. So basically, when you look at the channel on Twitch called Skyrim, for instance, if you have 150 people watching, or Mass Effect, that figure will be fairly steady throughout the day, which means you'll have new people coming and other people departing, and those people can see your channel if you're one of the 10 or one of 6 that are presently streaming this game, right? So that is the way through which you are going to be able to build your community based on that particular title. Don't really pull that rabbit out of the hat, right? You need to be considering whether this is a game that you actually like playing, and also whether this is a game that you're very familiar with. So it may be a good idea, if you're not, to have a first run on the game yourself, to learn everything about it, and then get on, right? You may try the same thing that I've done, which is doing Destiny 1. Destiny 1 is probably one of the very best games for the community build-up, and the reason for that is they've actually created a game with this in mind. You had absolutely nothing on the game anywhere, like guides or online walkthroughs or anything else when the game came out first, because what they wanted was to present you with a multiplayer that will require others to come in order to help those who are new to the game, and it works wonders. I mean, it's incredible. Honestly, when I started out, it did take me maybe 4 to 6 weeks to have a very large group of Destiny veterans fully on board, and there was one reason for that. First, they loved the game. Secondly, they really liked the way I presented Destiny on Twitch. And thirdly, and I think most importantly, there weren't that many broadcasters doing Destiny every single day. So if you look at it, people who were coming in spotted my channel every single day, exactly at the same time, live, and that made them come in, have a look and enjoy the content. Also, the channel became very quickly very interactive because Destiny wants people to come in for strikes and raids and Crucible and very many PvP activities. You can also do story missions as a 2 or 3 piece. And that draws attention. People want to come in, they find their new squad mates, team members and partners, and that basically then presents you with an opportunity both to be playing together with somebody as well as doing it live online, others watching, participating, doing the bets, providing you comments with comments and views, and also becoming regular community members. That's the way my community grew, and that is a very good way. So basically, first of all, as I said, pen and paper, plan, map out how you want to do it, right? Secondly, very carefully select what game you are going to be streaming. That's very important. I'm not saying Destiny is the only game. You may decide on Halo, you may decide on Assassin's Creed, you may decide on Call of Duty, you may decide on anything else. Mass Effect, for instance, is a wonderful sci-fi space opera, and it does have an enormous number of followers. Dragon Age, Bethesda's Fallout, it's just plenty of titles out there. You'll find one of those which is tailored to your personal preference. The third thing that you need to really work on is how you're going to come across, right? So remember, pen and paper and a plan, right? Selection of your game, carefully chosen, and then thirdly, how you are going to be delivering the broadcast. And that's a very major thing really to consider. First of all, you need to consider whether you want to be seen live online on camera, right? Or you want to be doing it in this format, which is like podcasting. You do not see the broadcaster. You actually rely on his voice, on things he says, his content and everything else. That is fundamental. That needs to be tailored to the way you are, okay? Don't forget, if you're wondering how this works, think about watching news on Sky News, where you can see the reports exactly from an area where something's taking place with the participants and everyone else, and watching the same thing on BBC News radio, right? So radio will be giving you a lot more content. You will be relying on personal views and personalized descriptions of certain situations and events compared to what you get when you're watching, because watching will be relying on your own visual perception of that situation, right? So that applies to streaming as well. If you're looking at the way everything works within Twitch broadcast, you will see a big difference between the streams that will have somebody visually accessible, i.e. present on the cam, where you can see exactly who they are, what they look like, and you'll be able to have a very different type of interaction. Perhaps the presence will be drawing a lot more attention than the content, right? What people talk about. You've seen lots of streams where people have 3/4 of the stream just them live online, and you can see the environment they operate in, nice small little studios which they built, and it's all about talking, interactivity and everything else face to face. So this is one format. If you're comfortable with the way you are, the way you look, the way you want to present yourself, and also don't forget, you are leaving this in a public forum. I know some streamers told me as well. I've had some stories given about it. They thought if they were not backing up the streams, that was it, that was all gone. Well, actually it isn't, because people can be recording your live stream even if you're not throwing it into the archive on YouTube or elsewhere, right? So people can really take clips of your activity, and therefore you've got to be fully aware from the beginning that you're in a position of a television broadcaster, right? So whatever you say is actually in a public forum, in a public arena, and everything can be seen and heard by literally anyone and recorded. So you'll have sometimes participants popping in saying things that are not particularly nice, and you need to take action. You need to make sure that that doesn't happen. You need to obviously mute and block them, ignore them, and do everything else. It does happen on Sky News. You've seen people popping in as somebody was doing a live coverage of a particular event and saying nasty things, and you're swearing, and these are the things that indeed are very much of concern to everyone. But when you take action, you're being proactive, and you can't be blamed for that, and you're not allowing that to carry on, right? So it's very important to remember that you need to be fully aware of the public arena where you are actually going to be seen and present with your broadcasts, and the fact that other people can be recording your broadcast, making clips and doing whatever. This is of concern, particularly when your community grows, when you're busy. I can certainly tell you with my activity here in Destiny, whenever I had a few dozen people popping in and doing various things, I discovered that they actually did take clips, and they took clips of our activity within the game, doing strikes together with me, doing some story missions, doing competitives, and so it's a wonderful opportunity to branch out to others, because somebody who loves taking clips, he's going to take a clip of him doing something within the game, and then they'll post that to the Twitter or Instagram, Facebook, wherever, their social networking forums, maybe sometimes on Reddit, and you will be then getting a very good response, because hey, if your channel is labeled and if they talk about the channel being a particularly good one, they will draw attention from others, and you are then going to be getting more people to participate. Your community will be exponentially growing. So that's the 3 key points, right? So if you decide on your presence visually, so you have your cam on, that's going to be one style of broadcast, and the other is going to be in the format of a podcast, where you do not see the broadcaster, and you will be relying entirely on the content, which means what they're delivering, the way they're doing the game, the way they're interacting with the community members. And then in this niche area, you have to decide what's the priority. Is it the community chit chat, which you can obviously develop on Discord and on WhatsApp, on many other different platforms, or is it going to be just specifically gaming? And this is important because Twitch broadcasts are comprising both areas, and you will have obviously on one hand people who are very interested in discussing everything in depth, and you have those who really want to be hammering the games, and you need to really take a decision whether you want to bridge the gap and provide the best of the two worlds, or if you are to be just dedicated to one of those. And I've got to say that for me, it's always the best to be bridging the gap and basically merging the two. So you have sections where you talk a lot with your community members, and then you do your serious gaming, because it's all about interactivity, and I did see on messages and communication coming in from our Destiny veterans that lots of people complained and indicated that they felt the streamers were not interactive, they were just busy with their own game. And that is the case sometimes. People have little time if they work full time and they're busy with other things in life. They have like 3 or 4 hours during the day where they can really do the game, and they really kind of want to play the game. But that's quite separate from doing successful Twitch broadcasts. Twitch broadcasters are not about doing their own thing. They're about communicating with others and building their communities and sharing the views, thoughts, feelings and experiences with everybody else who's coming in. The benefit of being on Twitch is by being fully interactive. So these are the considerations you need to take on board. It is going to take time, right? So the process is lengthy and does require a lot of planning, and at the end of the day, if you follow these kind of 4 bullet points and if you consider them very seriously, you will be able to have a good start. Also, the other thing which is very important is the quality of your equipment and your internet speed. You want, if possible, to be on fiber, and you want to be having the best possible kind of mic so people can see and hear everything properly, so you'll be fully audible, and that really makes a big difference. Because don't forget, if you're not seen like myself, having a poor quality mic where people can't hear is certainly a non-starter. So these are the things to consider, and then everything else is down to yourself. Create a schedule, make it regular, which means it needs to be there every single day. It doesn't have to be for 5 or 6 hours. It could be like a couple of hours a day. But the best thing to do is to find the niche period of that day where A, you will be operating to the best of your abilities, and B, you will be getting most of your viewers. Because for FPS games, you'll find that most people are engaging, if they're for instance in Europe, after 7 o'clock PM to 4 o'clock in the morning, right? For puzzlers, for RPGs, you'll find lots of people doing that during the day. So it depends on what niche area you belong to. But at the same time, once you build a community, once you had quite a few people participating, you won't be bothered, because really your activity and interactivity will draw attention of others. And don't forget, your local time zone which is like for myself in England, means absolutely nothing, because the vast majority of my participants come from every corner of the planet. And in fact, to be truthful, I have very few participants in our Destiny streams from England. There are some, but the vast majority from all over the world, people coming in from all time zones. And I talked quite a bit about our dedicated American, US Destiny community veterans and our members here who were popping in at around 4 o'clock in the morning of their time in order to join our community when I was doing my streams from 10 a.m. UK time. And that was absolutely incredible. You know, the degree of admiration and delight that I have towards such dedicated community members is you know, beyond words. I'm just really, you know, in awe of their commitment. And that tells you when somebody is really dedicated and interested in the content, and most importantly in that degree of participation with others through your channel. They will do anything and everything to be there at the right time. And obviously I want to be providing a stream that's amicable in terms of, you know, the actual scheduling, for them not to need to wake up or get up that early in the morning. But you know, it's just the fact that we can't always adjust everything to basically align our broadcast to every single time zone on the planet. It's impossible, but we always try to make it as best as possible. And yeah, so really, so that's basically all in the nutshell. So really the whole process of building your community will take quite a bit of time, and if you are looking at some of the most successful broadcasters, perhaps not those who receive huge sponsorships and, you know, massive sums in order to stream on Twitch or YouTube, etc. These people should be extracted from the overall selection of streamers you need to look up to, because, you know, it's a different ball game. It's a bit like looking at somebody who plays in a local football club compared to somebody like Ronaldo or Messi. We're talking about a different league. The guys who are sponsored with $10 million, you know, people like Ninja and Shroud and Dr. Disrespect, they're basically top industry professionals. They're fully embedded within whatever the industry wants, and they have other means to which to generate their subscribers and views. So if you think about why is it they've got like a couple of million viewers, it's to do with that. But on the other hand, to be frank, one Ninja was never going to be at that place without all of that gaming experience he had during the last 20 years. You know, he played Halo right from the beginning, and he was one of the top Halo players on the multiplayer, and he basically polished up his skill and worked very hard to get to that level, and then eventually he was embraced by the industry. But what I'm trying to say is, you will need to put a lot of hard work and effort into your channel in order to both master your broadcasting skills and build a community, and that doesn't come easy. That is a lengthy, arduous process, which indeed will take place over a lengthy period of time. So on average, you know, people who stream on Twitch and YouTube, they've been doing it already for about 7 years, roughly, from 2013, when the predecessor company indeed began, the company that basically preceded Twitch. Actually, the name of the company escapes me at the moment, so I apologize. But you will see that people have been actually building the community over a long period of time with a lot of hard work and a lot of planning, and you know, eventually they took off. And some of them, if they played a particular type of game like PUBG or Apex or, you know, Call of Duty, they also built sponsorships and partnerships with certain firms, and therefore they were able to draw even greater number of participants. So that is the way it works. A lot of hard work, a lot of regularity, a lot of dedication, and a lot of human effort, a lot of self-evaluation as well. So you need to archive every single stream and then watch it and listen to it and examine it, and you need to respond to the feedback. The best feedback is from the randoms. Don't ask your family and friends to tell you what they think, because they will be biased. They'll tell you things that perhaps are not applicable. They'll be praising you too much where that praise is perhaps not relevant, or they'll be telling you things which are not very nice, where in fact that's absolutely not necessary either. So, you know, having your stream out there in the open, having it for the randoms to enjoy and to provide comments on, is something that will provide you the best of the benefits. Right, so that's really, well, we spent already 45 minutes talking to our community members, and I really want to thank our friends Jeremy and Sunny and all the other guys from around the world, from Wisconsin and from other places, for sending us the messages and for asking lots of things about our new concept and also the streams. I'm glad to see that people are enjoying some of the tips, and most importantly, I can tell you, if you are to be proceeding, if you are to be building a community, and if you follow some of my tips, then definitely in a few months hit me up with another message and tell me whether these tips helped, or indeed, tell me that nothing worked and it was myself who's responsible for all the troubles that you've gone through. Either way, I would be very, very glad to hear all of your thoughts and views on how to work on your channel. Right, so that's as far as our community is concerned. We are presently on a kind of short break from Destiny, and Warzone. We'll have Warzone today for the first time since the Christmas break, and we'll have our community back in, so we'll be able to see more discussion with our participants here during the news bulletins every single day. But at the moment, I wanted to reflect on the new concept that I have here on my channel, as well as all else that we are presenting. And so far it's been very, very, very happy to see that people liked Nightcall, because I really think this is a true delight, a real jewel. And people also liked Echo Generation. I had a couple of messages, people saying, well, this is really quirky, this looks a bit like Minecraft meeting Fallout. That's probably the best description. And I said, absolutely. I find the humorous dialogue of Echo Generation to be really, really enlightening, and I find the mysterious, deadly world of Parisian film noir in Nightcall to be equally exciting. So really, really great stuff, and thank you guys for supporting it. And so if you have a chance, if you liked some of the streams, you can probably share them on your Twitter. Recommend, not myself, extract me from the equation completely, but recommend these games, recommend the games to others, because these games are very, very valuable. And the next era of advertising and marketing will be done exactly like that. It will be done through live streams. You will see that in due course, some of the marketing, and the marketing budgets in particular, that go to magazines and the usual type of conventional ads everywhere, will recede. And the reason for that is simple. If people are recommending the products, and if they really enjoy the particular title, it's a much better recommendation compared to bust up posters. Costs less and provides a much greater advantage to the publisher, because everyone will be experiencing what somebody actually liked. And if you are binding yourself to that person's interest, you are going to be enjoying the activity as well. So that's very important. If you like those games, please do repost them or retweet them to various social networking forums. So thank you for that. Now we'll look at all we have today on The Wire. And really, quite frankly, I should talk about The Wire first, but I really wanted to turn it around because we had a major overhaul of the channel during the break, and we have some separate sections in here, so quite curious to see how channel is being experienced. Obviously, all of you who are here with us and people who watch the channel for several years will know that we broadcast on different platforms consecutively, and I use Restream for that, so I never know who's watching where, what people are doing, and obviously get some stats eventually. And I get mainly the messages coming in from various online hubs where people respond. Most of the times it's either through live chat here on Twitch if we have lots of participants, or at other times it's direct messages after people basically viewed something through playback on YouTube or Twitch. So let's have a look at the news. First of all, we've heard that some missing Final Fantasy games from the Xbox Game Pass XO19, and Microsoft confirmed that they're still coming to the service and will join Xbox Game Pass this year. So that's wonderful news. In fact, I did play Final Fantasy VII recently on Game Pass and thoroughly loved it, and you should really try comparing the old game with the remake. It's just a wonderful experience. And as always, Square Enix excel. I played Dragon Quest XI recently during the Christmas. It's absolutely perfect family game. You You can play it with your children. You can watch Star Wars after that. That's exactly what I did, and you have a perfect Christmas and New Year holiday. It's just like really the best possible. And definitely Dragon Quest XI reminds me of Zelda to a degree. I discussed it with some of our friends. They all said after watching the trailer and a few other clips, yeah, it's very, very similar. But it's the humanity of it all, it's the empathy you feel towards the characters, and the overall kind of family-friendly environment with lots of puzzles, lots of story-based missions and quests. It's a true delight. Absolutely try it. So coming back to Final Fantasy, we've heard, let me see, that they said it's now 2021 and only 4 of the 10 Final Fantasy games Microsoft promised to have find their way into the Game Pass, and these 4 games are absolutely terrific, so you must download them and you must try them. And so the favorites such as Final Fantasy X HD Remastered, Final Fantasy 13 are not still there, but they confirmed that these are going to be coming our way in 2021. So what is said is, as we announced at XO19, we are excited to bring the Final Fantasy franchise to gamers with Xbox Game Pass. We've done so throughout 2020 and will continue to do so in 2021 and beyond. We look forward to announcing specific launch dates for more Final Fantasy titles in the future. Microsoft didn't give us a reason for the delay, but it's comforting to know that Final Fantasy X HD Remastered, Final Fantasy X-2 HD Remastered, Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age, Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 13-2 and Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13 are still going to be joining a bit later than originally expected. Well, you know, never too late. And to have the entire Final Fantasy franchise on Game Pass is a true delight, and you don't have to pay anything for it but your regular monthly subscription. There's been a rumor about Ubisoft Plus services joining already the existing EA Play merger on Game Pass. It's not been confirmed, but I think it's very, very likely. So anyone who is in awe of some of the Ubisoft and EA games will have a tremendous benefit of those two services merging on the streaming services, and I certainly look forward to that. I mean, I've been playing for EA Play previously, excuse me. Like I said, I was a subscriber to EA Play services, but as they merged, I'm saving £4 a month, and it's much easier to access all the titles. And I got to say, the new layout of Xbox Game Pass is very similar to what EA Play had previously, which I thought was a better design, easier access with more information. So, you know, it's really great. Just pop in, have a look and enjoy it, and download any of those games, be it Mass Effect Trilogy, Dragon Age, Battlefield, or any other blockbusters that they have to offer. Next bit of news is coming from Push Square, and they are telling us Atlas reports that 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim has sold over 300,000 copies. So that's not too bad, but lots of people feel that this game deserves a bit more. Well, Aegis Rim is a very, very good game, and 300 copies seems to be underscoring somewhat, but you know, it's early days, and we'll probably have many more sold. And they said that that was according to publisher Atlas, following the game's Western launch on PS4 in September last year, so it's about 5 months so far. It did hit Japan long before that, back in November 2019, so everybody is recommending the game, so I really look forward to it as well. If you have a chance, definitely access it and enjoy 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. The trailers and the developer diaries looked amazing, so if you are in awe of the usual traditional Japanese style RPG type of gameplay, you are going to be loving it. The Sinking City returns to stores, but its legal troubles are still ongoing. Well, that's really disappointing. This is again another game on the list that I have. I need to be playing it. I really love this kind of atmospheric, dark and mysterious deadly film noir RPGs, and you will know from my broadcasts, LA Noire and Hard Rain really top it all. But I purchased quite a number recently of small indie games with animals, you know, that are also immersed in that film noir type of environment, and not played them yet. The one is called something to do with bears. It looked really very, very good, and certainly The Sinking City is topping the list as well. So it's very similar to the novels of H.P. Lovecraft, and as we know that the game is available to buy again after an ongoing legal dispute between developers Frogwares and publishers Nacon, and they removed it from all the platforms in August. According to a statement from Nacon, the dispute is still pending in French courts, but for now at least, The Sinking City is back for sale on Xbox One and will be available on Steam and PS4 again soon. Well, that's quite good. I'll have a look actually at the offers. I want to see the prices, and perhaps it is offered on a very, very good deal, and if so, I'll buy it. I did purchase a couple of other games that were very, very similar to it, so that's good news for me and for everyone else who likes mysterious, deadly film noir style RPGs. And I recommend to everyone to join Eurogamer team. They are going to be today presenting. Just bear with me. I do apologize. I just realized that. Right. Eurogamer. They will be doing a major broadcast, and they'll be presenting Grounded. Grounded is a wonderful game, also available through Xbox Game Pass, and it is still a game that is being developed by Obsidian. You know, Obsidian is the studio owned by Microsoft, and they basically are part of the family of Microsoft Studios, and they will be looking at the game. So if you not play the game, I did, you will find that you will have to be surviving in a world of insects, and it's a survival. It's very similar to survival and struck horror games, because you will need to be surviving there as long as possible. And there's so many different things that you can do. So if you're a fan of other Obsidian games like Fallout Las Vegas, for instance, you definitely are going to be in awe of this wonderful, wonderful title. And if you're not quite sure whether you want to join the Ultimate or whether you want to try the game, then just head to Eurogamer at 3:30 p.m. today, right? So that's literally in 25 minutes. And if you miss the broadcast, you can still get it on playback again through Eurogamer channel. They have a wonderful team of youthful presenters, and you are going to be loving their quirky sense of humor and their puns and memes and all other kinds of things they do live. And I most highly recommend both the stream and the channel and the presenters as well as the game. So they will be doing it at 3:30. So that's Eurogamer channel on YouTube, or indeed through the website of Eurogamers. And I just really want people to support Eurogamer. You know, Eurogamer is a wonderful online magazine, and I think they're not receiving enough credibility. It comes across in a very simple format with a lot of text written, and you know, compared to IGN, we have all these sort of pop-up ads and illustrations and graphics. I think Eurogamer is really very serious about gaming, and lots of young people work for the magazine, but they really want, you know, to embrace the medium as something very serious, like the new form of, you know, modern art, similar to myself. And I really like that. I think it's a very good, serious approach. That's the way to do it, and that's the way the entire industry would need to be treated. I mean, think about the way musicians are treated today in Britain. It's just unbelievable. We're still like embedded within those Victorian days, you know, when people had to be playing all night long, and if they were to get paid, they had to stay together with the customers and drink themselves to oblivion, and then eventually they would get some money. But the condition of the pay was for them to drink with customers for as long as possible before the licensing laws were introduced during the First World War. So it's just incredible. It's crazy that musicians will be treated as some sort of commodity, when in fact their talent and skill and abilities are grossly under-recognized. I mean, that's just the way it is. Whether you believe it or not, you can just talk to any UK musician and they'll tell you what the score is. So I think taking the stance, like the one we've seen with Eurogamer towards video game industry, is absolutely noble. It's absolutely terrific. It's great. We want to see other people from the industry really taking the same stance as well. And I mean medias in particular. I didn't mean people who work on video game development, but you know, people who are working for various online hubs and mainstream magazines and newspapers as well. So we have a new new adventure in the Cayo Perico heist for Grand Theft Auto Online. So that's definitely worth exploring. If you are a veteran of GTA, you definitely want to have a look at it. And as you know, GTA Online is absolutely terrific. I'm to be playing Red Dead Redemption 2 online, and I purchased it for £4.43. £4.43 during the Christmas break. It was even before the Christmas break, I think earlier in December, which I find really quite astonishingly cheap considering the volume of the game, and I really want to try it and play it. So we'll have it here on my channel, and anyone who is doing GTA will be familiar with Rockstar. Obviously, both games came from the same developer, and the online services and online versions of the game are equally good. I did hear from one of my colleagues that he found the Red Dead community on the multiplayer online to be very toxic. Well, that's not sounding particularly good for me, but I've not tried it, and therefore I'll experiment with it first outside of my broadcasting hour and find out whether that indeed is the case. Maybe it was the case initially when the game was launched, we'll see, and then we'll bring it here to my channel. Unlocking the shortcuts will open up new ways to get around in future playthroughs, and that is Hitman 3. So you'll have persistent shortcuts will encourage exploration by making it, let me see, are we getting the information, or is it not going to come our way? What is going on? Well, they say, as reported by Game Informer, the upcoming Hitman 3 will make it easier to indulge your taste for stylish assassination with a new system of persistent shortcuts that developer IO Interactive said is intended to encourage exploration, reward curiosity, and incentivize replayability. I like that, incentivize replayability. The shortcuts, which can include doors, ladders, and other access points, are unlockable from one direction, which means that you'll have to take the long way around at least once in order to reach them. But once opened, they'll stay that way for future playthroughs, making it easier to access new areas and try new approaches to your targets, or just to post better times on the leaderboards if that is your thing. Sounds very good. I'm excited. Wonderful. So we definitely are going to try that. We have some interesting news coming from Ark. FaZe is giving us her tips for how to win Apex Legends current games in the season. So if you're interested, she is recommending that you got double Kraber, so you need to be using Kraber. Kraber is a big sniper in there, really very powerful, but you need to have really very fast fiber in order to be able to use it appropriately, so remember that. So she's giving you some tips. She's posted a couple of videos, so that is FaZe, and have a look at all that she is recommending. She is a member of my community as well. Microsoft addresses Xbox Series X and S controllers disconnecting. There seems to be some trouble in there, but as always, Microsoft are very fast in trying to remedy this. And we've heard that nearly 2 months after the release of the Series X and S, Microsoft is addressing the bug, and to say that the consoles had sold well would be a major understatement. Well, I think so, yeah. Lots of people pre-ordered, still waiting for the consoles, and you know, a huge demand for them, and also the performance quality is second to none. A recurring issue of controllers randomly disconnecting from the Xbox Series X and S has been officially addressed by Microsoft, and this issue has been a problem since the Xbox Series X and S launched, with players reporting that the controllers would randomly disconnect from the consoles despite still having a charge. That the Xbox Series X and S have been out for nearly a couple of months, the problem's not been fixed. So obviously Microsoft stated recently, we are aware that some players may be still experiencing disconnects with the new Xbox wireless controllers. Our teams are actively working on a solution to be included in a future update. Unfortunately, there's no further information on how and when. Well, obviously they'll work on this. Generally, as a rule of thumb, if you're a streamer or if you are a person who is dedicated to FPS, I always recommend for the controllers to be connected to the console by wire, so you'll have no major problems with Wi-Fi connectivity, any lags, delays, or any problems with recharging, because once you plug it into your console, it's going to be obviously connected to the power, and then you'll have no difficulties in experienced full stop and I think I always recommend that to everyone. In fact, our friend Spanner, who is a member of our regiment in Warzone, he was having exactly the same problem on his Xbox. His Xbox is of the older generation, but it was exactly the same problem, and I recommended the micro USB cable, and I think ever since he used it, the problem was gone. So that was very, very soothing to hear. Minecraft Earth is shutting down this summer. So that's another bit of news that we are getting. It's almost time to say goodbye to Minecraft Earth because Mojang Studios are shutting it down for good on June the 30th, still half a year to go. It's not all gloom and doom though. If you spend money in the Pokemon Go like sandbox apps, you will be able to grab some parting gifts before it heads to the big mobile phone in the sky. That is some free money for the Minecraft Marketplace and a free copy of Minecraft Bedrock Edition. So that sounds very good. If you're a Minecraft veteran, you do want to keep this in mind. Julozek, another community member in here, had sent me a message saying after 80 hours I completed my Cyberpunk adventure. Don't usually do side missions, but I'm glad I did for this game. Exploring was a blast. Amid all bugs, I still enjoyed my time in the Night City, and I was happy with my mostly positive ending. So he said 80 hours. I think if you're playing all the side missions and branching out to all corners of Night City, you will be getting a bit more than that. He probably missed out on a number of side missions. It's a concept that we are familiar with if we spend time playing BioWare games. It's all down to all the quests and side missions, because side missions and quests are unlocking extra content, and then you're getting a lot more to do. So anybody racing Anthem will finish the game in 15 hours, but in fact I've done it in 150. So it tells you really, if you are going down the road of approaching just the major characters that align to the campaign or the story missions, then you'll miss out on the vast majority of other things that are there for you to enjoy. So remember, you need to be, if entering the massive big open world RPGs, you need to be doing everything that is given to you by the game. Everything, every single thing, in the same way as you need to be exploring every single corner. In fact, I listened to Larry and Jeff yesterday on Larry's YouTube channel, and they were describing their gaming experience of Watch Dogs Legion, which in fact is again another game on the top of my list, obviously taking place in my home city, London, and during the presentation which they've had for during the launch, basically the launch presentation, they had a section dedicated to the game, and I've seen a vehicle being driven outside of my former offices at Old Street, and it was just absolutely delightful. You watch the presentation of that game through YouTube channel of Microsoft, and you actually see the guys from Microsoft driving a vehicle in that game, outside of the offices, which I held for quite a few years. It's just incredible. And they went through Old Street to Barbican, Clerkenwell. They went into one of the buildings, and there was some sort of HQ of the private corporation that is basically creating that tyranny in London nearby, and it was just extraordinary. But what they said in the podcast was everybody needs to be exploring every corner of that map. So if you happen to be walking through a particular building, don't just race through it. Look at everything everywhere, because you will detect extra inventory items, you'll detect extra clues, and the story, the missions, the overall activity will just expand infinitely. So that's what you need to do in these massive big games, and I know that certainly in the games I played here live online, I did exactly the same. And some games are not geared towards that, and you will not find that many items. There isn't much inventory to be collected, but you will get the others, like Watch Dogs Legion, where the developer spent a lot of time on doing this, and it will really affect both the gameplay and the overall experience. So remember that. SpongeBob SquarePants is coming to Madden NFL 21. So we have some good news coming out of the developer. They will be, what are they saying in here? SquarePants is coming to Madden NFL 21. The embattled American football simulation attracted the worst user reviews in Metacritic history when the annual update launched on the PlayStation 4 last year, but a barely any better PlayStation 5 port later, and EA Sports is now promoting the crossover of the century. Well, that's not what we want to hear, but hearing that SpongeBob is joining the game is delightful. Ninja Theory is hiring. They're looking for 13 roles in the company, and that will be across art, design, code and animation, game jobs, Ninja Theory. So if you are interested in, if you are one of our community members who is a developer or somebody working in animation or graphic arts, you need to look at my Twitter. You need to access the information posted by Ninja Theory. Ninja Theory is one of the major development studios and based in Cambridge, UK. So 13 posts available. That's really incredible, and I wonder what happened as to why, whether they are really so busy and productive at opening up new posts, or whether there have been some issues in the company. You never know. But anyway, 13 jobs are available, and if you're interested, you can just hit it up on my Twitter, and you can get into the application forms and everything else that they have there through the developer. And if you're not familiar with Ninja Theory, they indeed are very well known for Hellblade, for Bleeding Edge, for Devil May Cry, Enslaved, and Heavenly Sword. Hellblade I played extensively, and also if you are a subscriber to the Ultimate, Hellblade can be now played on your mobile. You can just pull out your mobile, your tablet, access your Xbox Game Pass app and play it straight away. You don't need a controller, you've got online controls, on-screen display, and it's absolutely perfect. And like on my phone, which is Sony Xperia 5 II, that has unbelievable Dolby Atmos sound, you will be absolutely brought in, grabbed straight away. It's so atmospheric. It's even sounding better than on my major setup. Can you believe it? Although I prefer watching it on my large screen, but still, it is very, very exciting to be able to see that the game works so well on xCloud. Right, we're coming to the, we're actually coming to the end of our time for the news bulletin. Still a few more bits of news. Netflix shutting down on 3DS. Wii U is another reminder, it still hasn't launched on Switch, so basically they're pulling out of those consoles. You will be no longer able to access Netflix on Switch, or indeed on 3DS or Wii. We've heard from Arcane director Harvey Smith that the merger of Microsoft and Bethesda will fit perfectly, and he said it'd be very difficult to think of anybody better, right? So he said it will fit perfectly, and it would be very, very difficult to find a better partner for Bethesda than Microsoft. Smith commented on Microsoft's acquisition of ZeniMax Media, the parent company of Bethesda Softworks, Arcane Studios, and Doom developer ID Software, in a recent interview with Spanish site Vandal. When asked whether there have been any noticeable changes as a result of the acquisition, the Arcane director said the process is still developing. Can't say much more about it because I do not know much either. I would say there's been no change at Arcane so far, and if we were to imagine the ideal partner, thinking of all the publishers and the people I know who work for them, it would be very, very difficult to find a better partner for Bethesda than Microsoft. They fit perfectly. Microsoft announced the $7.5 billion acquisition back in September last year. The ZeniMax deal includes publisher Bethesda Softworks, which owns Bethesda Game Studios, along with Tango Gameworks, Roundhouse Machine Games, AlphaDog, ZeniMax, and Arcane Studios. So it's basically one major global corporation acquiring another, and it is actually frightening to see that they have that degree of capital available for such acquisitions. But then on the other hand, there will be many, many benefits, as you know. And also I think the major corporations like Microsoft, they accepted that once they bring such companies in, they will require some degree of independence and artistic freedom and everything else. And I'm very curious to see how this is going to work, because obviously from my layman's point of view, having Bethesda joining Microsoft and having all the Bethesda games instantly accessible through Game Pass is of tremendous advantage, because many Bethesda games are on the old-gen consoles, and we have to be still carrying the discs with us in order to access the information, and having them on Game Pass is going to be just easy peasy. Click, click, download, play, and that's it. And if you're on the new console, resume, no waiting period, no loading, so it's incredible. Alright, so I think, let me see, yeah, Ubisoft is giving us a new game for free, and it says there's still time to play for your free gifts with our holiday mini game. So they're giving you that Happy Holidays minigame, and you can access it immediately. Go to my Twitter, access my Ubisoft posting, and click on the game, and you can play now straight away on your phone. We've heard that Wolfenstein 2 looks amazing on the Xbox Series X. If you turn off dynamic resolution in the options menu, the game will run at a full 4K. The Series X also has enough power to deliver a smooth 60 FPS that was not possible on the One X when using the 4K mode. Windy Corner tells us this. Well, thank you, Windy Corner. That's wonderful, and thank you for providing us with this tip. Really grateful. In fact, I can also recommend the podcast on Larry Hrib channel, Major Nelson's channel on YouTube. There's a whole podcast dedicated to how to be calibrating your television set and aligning it with your new console if you're on Xbox, and it's a very, very good podcast. It tells you everything that you need to be having and doing in order to do that. And one of the things that really popped up, which was surprising, and I think he was really re-emphasizing it 10 times, is the cable. So if you are in possession of your new Series X Xbox console, and if you were given that cable, which is basically your high-speed HDMI cable, you have got to be using that cable. I want to stress this again. You need to be using that cable between your console and the TV set, because no other cables, the older cables or any other, will work properly, and they will provide you with basically a problem. Your frame rate will be dropping, and with the cable that comes together with the console, the frame rate will be absolutely top notch. That's very, very important, because our friend here, Wendy Corner, did say that the dynamic resolution had to be turned off, and then it will run on 4K. So if you are thinking how to calibrate it, how to do it properly, and what to do altogether, absolutely head to that podcast and then enjoy all that Larry and Jeff were telling us. They will give you the exact description on all that needs to be completed. Well, I think we'll have more news on Foregone. Is a pleasingly rhythmic, Dead Cells-like that drops the rogue aspect, hampered only by its plain design. Read the review. So the review is on Wireframe. Wireframe is a magazine that's dedicated to primarily indie games and their developers. So if you are based in Britain, you can just order online and read magazines both in the online format or get them delivered to your door, or indeed you can go to WH Smith's once they reopen, and you can pick up the magazine. Every single time I go to WH Smith's, I always look at the magazine and always enjoy the content. It's a very different magazine compared to the others that I usually look at. It's less glossy, it has a lot more written content, and it's very much dedicated to the indie developers. So we've heard that Foregone is definitely giving us pleasing rhythm and plain design. Foregone is a platformer. It's very similar to Dead Cells, and if you want to read the review, you can just crack on and have a look at the posting on my Twitter. Right, so just to summarize, we are... Oh, there's another bit of news here which is important. Where is it now? The Signal Tower is calling Children Little Nightmares 2 launches on PS4, Xbox One, PC and Switch on 11th of February. I want to just tell everyone, if you're on Xbox, make sure you're claiming the old game, the original game, Little Nightmares, not the sequel, through Xbox Live Gold, given to us for free in January. I just claimed it yesterday, so make sure you get the game as soon as possible. It's easily forgotten if you don't do it on the first day, and I do this on the first day both for my PlayStation Plus services as well as for the Gold, because it's very easy to miss out and forget on some of these wonderful games. And if you are on both platforms, you will know that we get lots of AAA blockbusters given in as well, and that's absolutely terrific. I really applaud Microsoft and PlayStation for doing that, and I think PlayStation probably excelling a bit more. I did have games like Detroit and The Division, given for free on... No, actually, Detroit on PlayStation, The Division 1 given for free on Xbox Live Gold. So, basically, very many games given to us every month, and we need to take advantage of that, because once you claim, you have it on your console, you have it on your account, and you can play it at any time. Right, so that's all as far as the news are concerned today. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed some of the tips, and I really want to thank first of all of our community members and people who were taking time to write and provide us with some questions. Very, very grateful, and I'm truly delighted to see that people are watching our streams through playback on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you for that. This new concept, I think, has been embraced so far very well, and will carry on, obviously, and I'll review it after the first quarter, once the winter season ends. And thank you to Joshua, thank you to Sunny, thank you to Jonathan and Sam. Thank you guys for sending us the messages. I've given some answers in response to those messages. One lot was dedicated to how to build your own community on Twitch, and the other was looking at the feedback received for DRBMiller introducing. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you for supporting the channel. This was our news bulletin for today, Wednesday the 6th of January, and let me see, is it the 6th of January? Did I get it wrong? It is! Okay, I got my date right. So this was the news bulletin for Wednesday 6th of January of 2021. Thank you for watching, thank you for supporting the channel, and please do stay with us. I'll carry on with our next session called DRBMiller Introducing. We'll carry on today with Nightcall, the game we introduced yesterday. We have plenty to do still, and I will be resuming my broadcast in about 10 minutes, so stay with us, and hopefully you are going to be enjoying this wonderful French film noir styled RPG, which I will be streaming very, very shortly. Until then, see you all later.